2 November to 27 November in Geneva, and the following one is planned in 2019. And as a part of the preparation of the conference, we used to have regional meetings, regional workshops, and conference preparatory meetings, normally 2. The next one will be precisely at the end of this month. Then we had the radio communication assembly that are more related to the activity of the study group and the issues of these study groups in the form of recommendation and report. They could assign conference preparatory work for the study group, respond to the request of I2 conference, suggest topics for the agenda of the radio conference, and set the program of the study groups. The assembly used to be performed the week before the radio conference. Then in that case, will be in 26th, 30 October, just the week after starting the radio conference, and also in Geneva. We had the radio communication advisory group that is open to all member states and sector members. And the goal is to review the priorities and strategies adopted by the sector, monitor the progress of the study groups, recommend measures for cooperation with other sectors of the union, and provide advice on this matter to the director. Meets yearly. The next meeting will be 5 in May. We had a Radio Communication Regulatory Board composed by 12 members elected during the Plenipotentiary Conference, distributed worldwide, so every region has 2 or 3 members. Their goal is to approve the rule of procedure to be used by the I2R when implementing the provision of the radio regulation, considering matter referred to the BR, that the BR cannot resolve by itself, considering research report, and if necessary, advising the World Radio Conference and the assemblies. This regulatory board used to meet 3-4 times per year, normally at the headquarters at Geneva. I'm going to describe very rapidly the study groups and the different topics. The study groups is the point we could gather all the knowledge and expertise worldwide in the different topics, and having necessary discussions and provide different kind of documents that will be very useful for the sector, being a reference in the different subjects we discuss. It's open to member states, sector member, associate member, and academia who's participating in these meetings. We have 6 study groups subdivided at once in 21 working parties. Working parties used to meet 2 times, sometimes 3, but the average is 2 times per year, normally at Geneva, but it could be abroad. And the study group used to meet once per year after all the working parties of that group has finished their sessions. This is the structure. We have the study group 1, spectrum management, 3 working parties. The study group 3, radio wave propagation, 4 working parties. The study group 4, satellite service, 3 working parties. Study group 5, terrestrial services, 4 working parties. Group 6, broadcasting services, 3 working parties. Group 7, science service, 4 working parties. We have in total, as product of this study group, 1,142 recommendations in force and 410 reports and 44 handbooks. So there's a lot of productivity. Excepting some of the handbooks, recommendations and reports are, since many years ago, free of charge. You could download at any time you like on our website. To provide some detail, the Spectrum Management Group has 3 working parties: spectrum engineering techniques, spectrum management methodologies and economic strategies, and spectrum monitoring. The radio wave propagation, by the way, we don't have a study group 2 because you used to have on the past, but it was dissolved, that group. So for avoiding confusion, this number is no longer used. The study group 3 is split in 3J, propagation fundamentals, 3K, point-to-area propagation, 3L, ionospheric propagation and radio noise, 3M, point-to-point and aerospace propagation. I'd like to call a little the attention of this study group because it's maybe the group receiving the most important contribution from academia. Most of the papers we used to discuss come through the administration or directly through the academia to be discussed there. And we recently has been followed with the quantity of downloads of a recommendation. Roughly, we are registering 4 million of downloads per year of a recommendation, and nearly 40% of the recommendations are related to propagation. So our best seller from the point of view of download is the propagation series, and academia plays a very important role here. The study group 4, satellite services. 4A, efficient orbit spectrum utilization for fixed satellite service and broadcasting satellite service. 4B, system error interference performance objective for fixed satellite service and broadcasting, mobile, etc. And 4C, efficient orbit used for mobile services and radio determination satellite services. Study group 5, 5A, land mobile service about 30 megahertz, excluding IMT. And why? Because there are specific working party related to IMT. The IMT subject is so important right now to the sector that they have a specific working party. Working party in 5B, maritime mobile services. 5C, fixed wireless system below 30 megahertz. And 5D, the IMT systems. Study group 6, broadcasting services. Terrestrial broadcasting delivery, 6A. 6B, broadcasting services. 6C, program production and quality assessment. And study group 7, scientific service. 7A, time signals and frequency standard emission. It's also a very interesting group because it's the center of discussion related to the leap second. You are going to hear about a lot of this during this year, during the radio assembly and the conference, whether to remove or not the leap second. 7B, space radio communication application. 7C, remote sensing system for space operation and research. And 7D, radio astronomy and remote sensing. As you see, it's also a very interesting, very appealing group for academia. The issues produced by the study groups are in the form of recommendations, reports, opinions, and handbook. Please take note that the recommendation, as its name indicates, is something that you recommend. It's not compulsory. It's not mandatory to administration to follow this recommendation. But in practical, because the recommendations are the product of the best of the cutting-edge knowledge in this kind of technology, many administrations used to incorporate in their national legislation or take as a reference this kind of recommendations. There are some few recommendations that have been incorporated by reference in the I2R radio regulation. So this particular set of recommendations become mandatory because they are part of the radio regulation. Basically, you will find on the volume 4 of the radio regulation. This is basically the series we produce: BO, satellite delivery; BR, recording for production; BS, broadcasting service sound; BT, broadcasting service television; F, fixed service; M, mobile, including amateur and related service; P, radio wave propagation; RA, radio astronomy; RS, remote sensing; S, fixed satellite services; SA, space application; SS, frequency sharing between fixed satellite and fixed service; and SM, spectrum management. Just to give you a little hand about the nomenclature, we used to do that. In every recommendation or report, you will find REC or RIP to identify whether you are dealing with a recommendation or report. Then you have I2R to identify the sector. There are also recommendations from I2T or I2D. Then you have the two letters corresponding to the series. You have the number, and you have /0 or 1 indicating the version. Normally, what did happen when we update a recommendation, for example, 2063 score 1 will be then the newest one, and in that case, the previous version 0 is supersede because it was replaced for this new. Anyway, important also to have into account that we don't repeat numbers. So you could, the number 2063 is not used for any other series. The Radio Communication Bureau provides administrative and technical support to all our I2 sector, applies the provision of the radio regulations, and record and register the frequency assignment and orbital characteristics, and maintain the Master International Frequency Register, provide advice to member states, coordinate the preparation of circulars, etc., and provides technical information to other bureaus. We have the IAP department, having in charge development of software tools for the different sectors and also the administrative aspect, and the aspect related to the cooperation to membership. We had the study group department, that is basically the secretariat service for the study group we have already described it. We had the space service department, this is the chief of the space service department, and we had the terrestrial service department and the respective divisions. And very rapidly, now I'm going to address to the academia. Academia, as I had mentioned, plays a very important role in our union. We like to stress, to remark more and more this cooperation and facilitate it because it's a unique opportunity to influence on the global ICT communities for key terms, key subjects on the study group I had just described it. We have, not since I2R, but from I2T, but we are joining effort to then through this model of a kaleidoscope, that is annual peer review academic conference in association with IEEE. So the most important papers in this I2 kaleidoscope even are then published by IEEE. We had a lot of challenge, and in this challenge, the vision of the academy is very important, not only because you are in the cutting edge of the technology, but also you could provide sometimes, or many times, a neutral aspect, because of course, when you deal with the operator or industry, it's quite normal. They like to defend also their interests. For us, having the academia opinion, it could be very useful to provide some neutral vision. You could join us for increase your technical knowledge, contribute to the international standard, become editor or rapporteur of IT documents, etc. We had very special prices for academia members. They paid 2,000 Swiss francs. It's probably right now $2,200 per year. And since the last plenipotentiary conference in October, it was decided that the academia fee will give the rights to participate in all three sectors. So academia members don't need to pay one subscription per sector. It's a special offer. You pay one, take three. So please, and not limited. Well, there's, to give you an idea of 79 universities and research centers in 41 countries, and we like to increase more and more the participation in academia, for example, helping us precisely in discussion of these hot topics as how to handle with these CubeSat, their technical and regulatory challenges. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thanks. Thanks, Joaquin.
Before we start the speech, I would like to introduce Yvon to you. Yvon is the chief of the SSD department, and he joined the ITU in '95. Before he worked in France Telecom, in the space business, and in Intelsat. And just he left the Intelsat, and Intelsat started to be disappear and discharged. That's why he left in the right moment. He came to ITU in '95. Just because we are here to having fun, and he did a fun with me, I will make a fun also with him. And he will be surprised, very surprised, that one of the big secrets is that Yvon was for 1 year in Africa teaching, 2 years in Africa teaching radio communication, and now he's very proud because all ministers coming to ITU meetings, he's saying, these are my students. All African ministers are his students. That's why this is just a joke, but he did a nice job in Africa for 2 years. Yvon is responsible for the Space Service Department, which is responsible for managing the processing of space notices, Earth station, radio astronomy stations, in accordance with ITU Constitution, Convention, radio regulations, and we are providing also assistant help to you for the operation of frequency assignments, he is a very strong boss, also related to the bringing to